So I have a new house, and the builder throws in front yard landscaping. This is what they gave me. What a mess. Thanks, Lennar Homes. However, I hired a landscaper and turned it into this. I'm going to go over the planning, steps, and mistakes I made working with the landscaper. Let's go. I found a landscaper on Yelp that I liked and was priced right. Through the process, we had a couple issues to resolve. First off, I told him what I wanted, and he wrote up a proposal on the spot, and we wrote down a description of the work. Basically, this is what I wanted. I live in California and want drought-tolerant plants with a drip system and gravel. Right here, these plants stay, and so does this olive tree. I then wanted to put 2 boulders here to break things up, and maybe I'll put plants here and I would use the drip system to put something in. Not sure what. The rest of the area would just be gravel. Then I had one big crack in the driveway that happened with the mini Bobcat tractor when they put in the pool. So 2 concrete pads needed to be replaced. Then, in this small area, a couple more plants and some gravel as filler. The larger area, more plants scattered around. These plants, I don't know what I want, so the plan is to pick them out later. Definitely I want them to put in a nice tree in to start it off small. A couple plants in the front, a half-moon planter to break it up a bit. Oh yeah, and 2 pilasters with the planter and the pilasters with veneer rock that matches what's on the house. For the concrete, a ramp leading to the guest house, and mainly because everybody cuts through the front yard. Then steps for the entry so it's a bit more inviting and looks nicer. Oh yeah, and lights in the steps so no one trips at night. With the wiring, I can always tap into it and add Malibu lights later if I wanted. In addition to all this, proper drainage when it rains, and I pointed those trouble areas out. So that was it. You would think it was well covered. In 2 days, this is how far they got, which I thought was pretty good. They were going to rip out 2 pads in the driveway, but the landscaper said it would look strange because of the discoloration of the new concrete, and we might as well do 3 pads. And that he won't charge me for the extra pad, which I thought was generous. They put up the wood barriers to form the cement and cinder blocks for the pilasters and half-moon planter. They're still clearing out the old plants. And here's the walkway to the guest house. One straight shot, no steps. One area that needed drainage bad was here. The rain would cause a 3-inch or so puddle. I did point this out to the guys to make sure they took care of it. It's nice they have the roof runoff right into the drain and a secondary drain around the area. It's also sloped. The runoff goes across the front and ties into the existing drain that goes out to the curb. It looks like it's coming along. Let's look at the other side. There's not much to do here. They have to grade the area and put in a drip system. They already dug out the area around the valve and are working to tie it into the old system. I did go shopping for the plants to get this out of the way. Not much, about 11 to make things somewhat green. I like the ones with the spikes. I'm going to use these so when someone doesn't use the walkway, they'll pay the price. The next day, the guys put the plants in. I did provide the soil. I walked around to check out where the drip system line is. One of the things the landscaper said is that he wasn't planning on putting in the drippers for the drip system, just run the lines. I thought this was odd because they put the piping in, and I specifically said for them to put in the drip system. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it since he did replace the concrete pad and didn't charge me extra. I figure I could just do this myself. Also, this area on the left he wasn't planning on doing. I stated the front yard, but he didn't consider this part of the job. He ended up doing it anyway. They put in the valve, and this area they weren't planning on doing, extending the rocks from in the right-hand side where the olive tree is. I mean, come on, this is still a right-hand side in such a small area. He was going to forget about the lights in the steps, and I had to remind him. I caught this one, and I see he purchased the lights. The landscaper asked me what I was going to do in front of the house for ground cover. I was shocked. Of course I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the right side. I wanted rock coverage. He said he didn't know and hit me up with another $500. Again, I'm thinking the extra free concrete pad, and I let him slide, but I was getting bugged. The steps look good, and they have a tube to feed the low voltage lighting. I think it was day 3 and they poured the concrete. They're still smoothing it out, but I like the lines. Remember the boulders I wanted? Well, again, I had to remind him, but he brought 3 instead of 2, so he made up for it. The other 2 he put in the front of the house. He did hook up the drip system and had me go to Home Depot and get a wire for the valve to the controller. What's that all about? It was 39 cents a foot. Just a bit strange because this seems like it should have been handled by them. You can see this area between the walkway he covered with rock, but he wasn't planning on it. Here's the finished result, which I am happy with. Again, they weren't going to do this area. What the hell? You can see they stopped right here, which is okay. I'll end up just doing something myself. A nice thing they did was stuck with the other side of the half moon planter, which was a nice touch. Overall, if you like it or not, this is what I wanted, and I think it looks much better. They did pick out the caps on top of the planter and pilasters to try and match the house. The stair lights are good, sturdy quality, so they didn't go cheap here. Personally, I think the issues and reminders were based on communication and planning with the landscaper. If I was going to do this again, I would provide him the diagram, which usually I would think the landscaper does the design layout, but in this case, they wanted me to do it. When the landscaper first came out, I told him what I wanted and he wrote down notes, which wasn't detailed enough. Showing the diagram and detailing it out would have been a better reference. The moral of this is to provide as much information as possible and be detailed with pictures and notes. We did have notes and pictures, but there were so many items it was easy to miss things. You just need to be so clear with these guys. They're not the most organized. I hope this video helps with your plans. If it did, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up.